3, 2,
1. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. I guess it's afternoon somewhere. It's afternoon here. It's very cold. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Turn the volume down? Yes, I did. No, I didn't.
I attempted to.
I intended to. Then he started talking. I noticed a couple of people commented about the cold weather in Maine. This morning we were minus 28 when I opened my eyeballs this morning, and with the wind chill it was minus 48. Really? It was a bit brisk. It has warmed up since, though. I think we're at minus 22 right now, and that makes it about minus 37, somewhere around there with the wind. But the wind is just screaming here. It's just unbelievable. Very cold. We don't ordinarily see this kind of cold here. This is sort of a little different for us to actually see a minus 30, which it was at about 7 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, but we only get it for like 2-3 days, and then...
Yes, if we get it at all.
Yeah.
You know, minus 25. Yeah, we've seen that, but not very often. So, yeah, minus 30 and minus 48, that's a bit on the chilly side. Burr.
The burr.
Yes, very much burr. So it's been a week. Had a lot going on this week. We had a live class on Wednesday with my membership group. We painted orchids. They also got the pattern for the month of February. Their challenge is ready. I have to just tweak the tutorial a little bit, and then I'll post that this afternoon. This month, my membership group are working on fuchsia, fabulous fuchsia for February. But believe me,
Too many F's.
no, it isn't, because by the time they're done with this, they're going to be using a few more.
Fantastic.
Hopefully. Hopefully. I decided to try something a little bit different this time around. We're working on studies. For the last month, we started this thing where we're working on studies, which means that we're doing sort of an in-depth practice, if you will, practice piece of the subject matter that we've chosen for the month. And in this particular case, and for the month of January, I chose colored pencil to do the study work in. Of course, they're not obligated to do it in colored pencil. They can do it in whatever medium they like. But the point behind the study is to allow them to troubleshoot where there might be issues with a design. So it gives them a chance to figure out, is it going to be hard to highlight? Is it going to be difficult to achieve that texture? Is it going to be, gives them a chance to sort of flesh out a design before you actually go to your finished piece. That's the whole point behind a study. I also, when I set them up, I wanted them to work with something they're not accustomed to working with. It does a couple of things. One, gets you outside of your box, and two, it gets you a little more comfortable with a medium that you're perhaps not comfortable with. So again, I chose colored pencil for the study this month, and I'll show you the study. This is the finished piece. So this one is just colored pencil on mat board. It's just a scrap of mat board that I had laying around. And this one is to get them comfortable with working with colored pencils and with the details that are in this flower. And then we're using that same line drawing to produce this piece. So I think they're going to have fun with it this month. I'm having fun with it already. I've already done the study a couple of times because I really enjoyed it. And I think we're going to have a great time with that this month. So that's what my paid membership group is doing this month. That's with the Create with Tracy group. So for the month of February, they have a few challenges coming their way. They've also got some other fun stuff coming their way. For everybody, I have a few little things I want to talk about. One of them was this hot trend of working with those tiered trays. And I thought, it'd be fun to do one for Valentine's Day. So I went looking for a tier tray. Holy mother, they're not cheap. Amazon, I think the nicest one that I found in at the lowest price was about $90 for a tier tray, which was a bit much. And they're a bit big for me. I don't have that kind of counter space in my kitchen. And most of the places I would want to put it, I wouldn't want it to be that big. So let me show you something. So look at this. Isn't this cute? Nice little tier tray. Perfect for those seasonal decorations. You can just add little bits, whatnot. You can change this out, put whatever you want up there. Found this at Walmart of all places for $9. I mean, very affordable if I want to change the color, a simple paint job. And it was perfect for my needs. So I wanted to show you that because it's just a great little thing. And this one was in the Valentine's section where they have all the seasonal stuff, the holiday stuff. And at $9. Couldn't beat it. So I thought that you guys would get a kick out of that cute little tiered tray that you could do something fun like for your entryway or what have you. And just ideal enough, just the right size as far as I'm concerned for, those seasonal things. So tiered tray, $9. Can't beat it. On the website this week too, we added a bunch of new stuff, which I was excited about. I'm really enjoying dealing with the Stencil Studio. They are just a remarkable company. They've just been fabulous to deal with. And I got a new shipment because I spent far too much time on their website and added a few things. We have the little, the 3x8 stencils, the little minis. I just love these. They're so much fun. And there's one called the Nordic Hearts. It's really cute. Scandi. Anyway, I found this one. It's also a Scandi style with the little moose and the snowflake and the Christmas tree. Love it. And then for Valentine's Day, I added in a few more roses. I've got a couple of really cute ones. But we added some roses, which are really sweet. Some nice little florals for spring. And of course, some nice scrolly things that works well for Valentine's Day. And then I got really excited when I saw this one. This one is super cute. It's a little bunny with reeds. So ideal for Easter. And then we added a few more of these pattern style stencils. I really liked this one with sort of this diamond pattern. I just thought these were really great. And I've kind of ventured into some bigger stencils because they've got some really nice ones. This one is called Apple Blossom. I really love this. And this one, I really like this. It's got bumblebees on it. Of course it does. This one is called Paris. So it's a fun little motif type stencil. And then the big old bumblebee because, it's Bumblebee and I had to have it. So I've been really excited about these. So those are up on the website this week. Other fun things that I found this week, because I'm easily entertained, was these little wooden hearts. If you're doing any of the RAKs, these are great. 98 cents at our local Walmart. Again, in the Valentine's section. So if you're doing little RAKs, giveaways, or for events, very inexpensive. And there's a whole mess of them in there. I think there's 24 pieces in there. So great bargain for your Valentine's projects. Oops.
I see a muffin tin.
You do see a muffin tin. I was so excited. I have to say thank you again to a bunch of you. I'm still receiving birthday cards and I received a gift this week that I was so excited about. Carol, God love ya. She was so sweet. Check this out. I got this. This came as an Amazon gift. I absolutely love it. This is a major cake pan. Skulls. I love it. The skulls. We're going to be eating skull cakes.
Skull cake.
Skull cake. I don't know what else to call it, but I absolutely love this. The quality of it is beautiful. Like it's a nice hefty. Yeah, it's a beautiful cake pan. It's Nordic ware. I'm so excited. So thank you, Carol. You have no idea what that meant to me. I absolutely love it, and it will get use. I promise you. So there was that. Got lots of brushes in from Dynasty. They sent me my demo stuff and my giveaway stuff this past week. I was so excited. So we have really great giveaways this week. So in the giveaway, we have 4 of them.
We have 4?
We have 4.
Oh, yeah.
One is a Tombow giveaway.
Yeah.
And it's a set of professional drawing pencils from Tombow and a beautiful book on drawing, beginner drawing. And then the other 3, there's a couple of Dynasty water lily brushes in there, some Tombow pencils. There is a few little odds and sods and gifts from us as well. And of course, the new stickers. We got new stickers. I was so excited. So we got these back in. The neatness doesn't count and perfection is to be avoided at all costs. We got a bunch of those. They're going to be going out in orders and whatnot that are posted this week. Anyone that places an order, we always throw in little extras, but this is the goodie for this month. So we've got a ton of those to give away this month. I'm excited about that. And then here, you can see it up close and personal. My dear friend Sandy McTeer designed that for me. She got a kick out of
who happens to be
saying.
the shout out.
And Sandy happens to be our shout out this week. Sandy just got in a whole bunch of great stuff. She got in some Dynasty brushes. So if you're looking for the Dynasty Faux Score, if you want the fugly brushes, if you're looking for stencil brushes and whatnot, go and check out Sandy's website. And yeah, she has coupon code Tracy M. So,
I think.
Yep, it is Tracy M.
Tracy
so
M.
Tracy M. Use that coupon code, gives you a little extra discount on Sandy's website. So if you're looking for stencil brushes, Dynasty Faux Squirrel, any of the Micron, and of course my fugly brushes, Sandy's got them on her website, so don't forget to go check that out. And she also got a ton of those Tim Holtz stencils. I love the wood grain stencil. So if you're doing any of my projects, use the wood grain. That's where you go to get that stencil. And what else? What else? There was something else. I forget what it was. Oh, yeah. Got a new coupon code on my website. Might be a good idea to actually promote my own website.
Maybe.
Maybe. Got to pay the rent.
Mary says hi.
Hi, Mary.
Linda.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Linda Sofranco's mom, Mary, she had surgery this week.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. So she will be up, running around and running the roads in no time flat. I have absolutely no doubt. So, Mary, mwah, we love you, sweetheart. Hope you heal up quick. Gotta get on your feet so you're feeling much better. So, today we're going to be painting Lilacs and Daisies.
They just gloss over you promoting your own website.
I know, I completely forgot about that. You distracted me. It's your fault.
know. I saw Linda in the chat, so I had to say something.
Yeah. I have at least a couple of hours to promote my website, so I can do it then. And I probably will, because there's a few things we're going to talk about. But today we're going to be painting Lilacs and Daisies. This is a fun little project. I did it on an oval. Let me hold this up so you can see it. This is just a little oval plaque I got at Michael's. It's one of their basswood plaques. I think it's Walnut Hollow, I think is the name of the company. Reasonably priced. It was okay, not horrible. And then I bought a string of wooden beads and I just glued those on there for feet. So I wanted a little perfume tray for my dresser to hold up my little collection of perfume bottles. And so it needed to have some pretty flowers. And so it had to be two of my spring favorites, which are Lilacs and Daisies. So that is what we're doing today. It's not a difficult piece to paint. There's some fun techniques involved in this. And we're going to be using a very specific brush to paint this piece, which will probably help as well. And it'll give us a chance to test a couple of things. Now, there is some brush lettering in this, and one of the questions that I had earlier in the week was in reference to the lettering. And someone wanted to know if it was possible to either change up the lettering or to use the stencil or what have you. So I went digging through my stash of stencils to see if I could find something that would work in lieu of. So if you are perhaps intimidated or just don't care for the lettering, that's fine too. I'm not easily offended. I found a selection on my website that might make a great alternative. This one is the Champ de Lavande. I like this one. This one especially for the oval, because of that oval kind of reflects the shape of it, which is really nice. Gives it a nice little border. So that would make an excellent one in the center. Because it's a perfume tray, I thought a vintage perfume label would also be a good choice. And even though it's a bit larger, that's okay, because you're going to work right over top of it anyway. And I think this one would look really nice as well. And then this one I thought was very pretty, would look really nice in there. I love the lettering in this one. It's just very elegant, very vintage feeling. This one is also a perfume label, a vintage perfume label that would work exceptionally well in the center. And then if you're not into the whole perfume thing, I thought, you know what? They're flowers. Where do you find flowers? In a garden. So this one would make a very pretty addition as well. So lots of options when it comes to putting something of interest in the center of this piece. It doesn't have to be brush lettering. It doesn't have to be the design that I chose. That is entirely a personal thing for me. I'm fond of that particular style. So those are your options. There's tons of them out there. Or you could simply choose not to put any lettering whatsoever in there and just do the floral. It's going to work. So that is my suggestion.
It looks like Sandy McTeer is going to do all the promotion for your website.
Oh, is she? My dear sweet girl. Everything in my memories this week kept popping. Sandy's been on my mind all week because all the pictures from our trip to England and our shenanigans in Europe all happened in January and February. So at this time every year, my memories pop up with all these photographs of her and I, hitting the tube in London or walking in the streets and on the tramway in Frankfurt and, traveling around Germany. So, it was just a really nice week. Had lots of really fun memories this week. So Miss Sandy's been on my mind a lot because her and I get into a lot of mischief in England. So we found a lot of pubs that had lots of really good beer and lots of really good fish and chips. Mm. One of my favorites was the Sherlock Holmes pub. Now, we found that one by accident. We found it in central London, not far from the Thames.
And the comments about your apron are coming in too.
I love my apron. This was a gift from Deb Daniger. And I have another one with all the purple flowers and whatnot. That was a gift from my dear Linda, from Linda Safranco. So we are going to be painting lilacs and daisies today. And we're going to be doing a little bit of brush lettering. This is a simple piece. There is nothing overly difficult about this piece. Just a couple of things you need to practice for this. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with lilacs and daisies. And if you are ready to get started, so am I. My mouth runneth over today.
Some are asking what the translation for the pattern is.
The translate? Oh, you mean for the lettering?
Yeah.
It actually refers to a flower shop in Paris. That's what it is.
Cool.
Fleura Mimi Boislèvre. It's Madame Boislèvre. That's essentially what it is. It's for a flower shop.
Belleville.
Boislèvre.
Oh, that's an O. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, it's one of my favorites. The reason I painted this one this way, because I was making a tray for my bedroom, for my dresser, and I have a chair in my bedroom that is done in the same style. That one has lilacs and hydrangea, and I really like the color combination. So I thought that this would be a nice addition. So that's why I went with that one. So as luck would have it, I was not able to get another one of those discs because my local Michael's had sold out of them. Go figure. So I wasn't able to get another one of these. So I dug through my stash and I found this, which is one of those little simple rectangular trays. They usually come in a set of 3. So you have a larger one, a medium one, and then there's usually a small one that sits inside. And these ones you can find them almost anywhere. I found this one at Michael's. I believe Viking Woodcraft actually stocks these. Some of our local dollar stores stock these. They're not expensive pieces. I did the same thing as I did for the disc. I just glued on 4 wooden beads for feet, and it sits nice and level. I put them on there with a good quality clear craft glue. I used Aleene's Tacky for this, so that it stuck there really well. I set it on the table and then I put a book inside it to weight it down so that it held it in place until the glue dried, which was very quick. It only took about overnight and it was ready to go. So we're going to start with the lettering on the inside of this because this is what's furthest away from us. So we're going to start with that. Now the brushes that I'm using today, see, Miss Veronica at Dynasty Brush is a bit of a genius. She knows when to send me things. So she sent me a bunch of these. These are Dynasty Water Lily. These are a watercolor brush. I don't often paint in watercolor, but I do like a brush that's a little bit softer. And so I was rather excited to try these. I had a few. So she sent me some angles, some filberts, and some liners, and a bunch of other stuff. I've been playing with the angles all week, and I'm really enjoying working with them. They are considerably softer than most decorative painting brushes. That is not necessarily a bad thing. It all depends on what you're most comfortable with. I'm rather enjoying them. So I'm working with, in this case, a 1/2 and a 3/8 angle. And then the two other brushes that I've decided to work with today are a number 4 filbert and a number 2 filbert. So I have those. And then I have this lovely little liner brush in the Water Lily. And then, of course, I have my two favorites. I have a 0 rigger and a 10-aught rigger. I decided to go with something smaller because this lettering down here is really tiny, so I decided to use that 10-aught rigger in the Dynasty Faux Squirrel. So those are the brushes that I'm going to be working with. So for my lettering, I am using my 0 rigger and my 10-aught. I'm also going to be working with a little bit of my Jo Sonja's Fast Dry Glaze. Someone had asked me earlier where they could get that Fast Dry Glaze. Miss Sandy stocks it on her website. I do not have a distributor close enough here to stock it, especially through the winter, because if it freezes up here, it's useless. So it's difficult to stock it. So Miss Sandy does carry it, so if you're looking for it, she'll have it on her website. So the color we're going to work with is a little bit of warm white.
There's still plenty of cookies left, Karen.
Yeah, define plenty.
Plenty. And it's not me who's devouring them. You can take a wild guess.
I don't have to guess. I haven't even had one yet.
You haven't had one yet?
No.
You should go get one.
I'll have to get one before they disappear entirely. My date balls are all gone.
I only had 2 of those.
The date balls?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're good.
Oh, they're delicious. I managed to have a few. So, lettering. I've got a rigger. I'm using the smaller one. When you press it down, tap it down, you're going to get a nice square edge. And it does make working with this is the downside to working on a tray. So I'm going to start up here. Because of the edge of this changes the angle of your approach somewhat. Oh, I took too much out of my brush. Smart. I thought I had too much in there and ended up taking up way too much. There we go. That's better. So when you're working with a rigger, press down, open up the brush, and then release and come up onto the chisel edge. Boy, did I mess that up.
Yep. Stockade in Canada carries the glaze.
Yep.
Maria from Peru says, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Maria. Hola, bom dia. So having that little wall on this tray and working underneath the camera is a little problematic. because I'm working too far away from myself at this point. So I'm having a tough time getting it in there, but there we go.
She decided to use a tray.
I decided to use a tray. What I should have done is just used a flat surface, but no, I decided to go with the tray. Just to make myself a little more
Uncomfortable.
You know.
Fold a tea towel and put it along the edge of the tray.
Then it's higher. It's not the tray it's not that it's uncomfortable, it's changing the angle of the brush.
That's the uncomfortable.
That's the uncomfortable part. So I don't mind this touching my wrist. It actually gives me something to rest my wrist on, but it changes my angle of approach for this lettering. So, which means that everything changes.
Not the AOA. Army joke.
Yep. I get it. Oh my goodness. Making a mess of this here.
It's actually a pilot joke.
Yeah.
So Ed found out he could fly helicopters on his flight simulator now.
Oh.
So, yeah, he's been having fun with that.
Mm-hmm. So I've got a few little bobbles in this because my angle of approach is not what it should be. And I can change that, but then if I change my angle of approach, you guys won't be able to see it. It's difficult, but not impossible. This is going to take forever. Hang on a sec. I got to change this up a little bit so that I can see what I'm doing. There. That's better. I don't know if you can still see that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I had to change the angle because I was not getting where I needed to be. There we go. Much smoother. Doing it flat down like this, it's like doing things from an angle, like looking at something from an angle. So I can't see where I am. There we go. Oh yeah, that's much smoother.
Wish I thought of that earlier.
Well, I wasn't sure they'd be able to see it.
Yeah,
you know?
you're good.
Okay. That ability to, oops, press down on the brush and then release it.
Gotta go check on a puppy.
Yeah. So ordinarily, I have this in my lap when I'm doing this. So, because then I can see what I'm doing. And trying to do this quickly. It doesn't help. I love brush lettering. There's always been something about lettering that just appeals to me. I love calligraphy. And I love it when I see it in artwork. I find it just lends a little something extra. It's like old advertising art. I've always been a really big fan of old advertising art. Vintage posters, advertising posters, and the like have always held a lot of appeal for me. And the older they are, the better. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm not really overly concerned with whether or not the lettering is perfectly opaque, for a couple of reasons. One, I'm going to antique this and distress it, so if I'm going to have to work against myself to get what I'm looking for, a lot of the time I just have to sand right back through it. So if it's not fully opaque, it just makes that part of this process a little easier. And again, having that little bit of an angle, I know it's probably looks really awkward, but it actually worked in my favor. The nice part with this black background, if you make any little mistakes, bobbles and errors, they're easy to fix because we can just come back in with a little bit of black paint and repair those. So not too bad. Few little areas that I feel I need to clean up. But perhaps the distressing will take care of that. There is an accent over this E. Right there. And there's a dot over the I. Et voila. So there's a lot of lettering in here. And as I said, if you're not comfortable doing this, then don't. Use a stencil. Now, the ones that I chose all sort of had a French theme, but that's primarily because that's would be my tastes. But if you wanted to do something completely different, feel free. I'm not going to be offended. My tastes tend to lean more to like a French country vibe, a lot of very vintagey type labeling. That's what appeals to me. Doesn't necessarily appeal to everyone, and that's okay too. Now, most of this lettering does not have to be absolutely perfect. We're going to distress so much of it anyway. So I'm going to switch to the smaller brush for this. Might be a little bit easier. So this one is the 10-aught rigger. It's very tiny, but it also grants me a little more control over these smaller letters. And again, don't worry about getting them absolutely perfect. They're going to look heavily distressed by the time we're done anyway. And I kind of like that, that rustic look. Should be straight, level, and tidy, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So if they look a little worn or a little distressed, that's okay. Straight and level being the most important thing when you're doing lettering. And this says 38 Rue Bourbon, so Bourbon Street. Now I'm just going to quickly stroke in the bottom portions of these letters. Goodness, I keep running out of paint here. Now for this piece, as I said, it's the overall design is going to have a distressed feel, so you don't have to beat yourself up trying to get these, meticulously perfect letters. We're going to sand through them anyways. As long as you've got reasonable coverage and that they're straight and level, that's about the only real concern for these. Straight and level, most important. There are quite literally hundreds of designs that you could use in lieu of this brush lettering in the center. As I said, you could put welcome or just the word perfume. You could print something out on your computer for this. Literally anything. It doesn't need to be exactly this. So feel free to customize it. If this is not your cup of tea, feel free to customize it any way you choose. Then it is completely yours.
Is the lettering stencil available on your website?
The lettering for this is actually in the pattern. We don't have a stencil for this one. But all of those stencils that I showed you earlier are. The brush lettering always terrifies people. I've never understood why. Because we all write. Of course, all of us feel our handwriting is terrible.
Yup.
And then, but it's something that we all do every single day and we're terrified of it. Which is silly. People place unrealistic expectations upon themselves. So if it's not something you're comfortable with, go ahead and use the stencil. There's no harm. No harm, no foul. So I'm almost done with this. I'm just going to...
Oh.
Oops. What?
Oh, Carolyn just joined our Tracy Videos membership.
Nice.
Andrea George just donated $25 to the puppers.
Yay!
And the kittens.
And the kittens, yeah. Not just the puppers.
Not just the puppers. Yeah. My promotion at work got in the way of us making a video of going on a shopping spree and buying a bunch of stuff for the dogs down at the SPCA.
So we're just going to reschedule that until a time when he has some free time.
Not the next 2 weeks, I can tell you that.
I know it's not the next 2 weeks. I know that.
You got a busy 2 weeks coming up.
Okay, so I'm just going to clean up a couple of little things that are bugging the living daylights out of me. So I've got a wobble. I don't know if you... Can you see it? See this little... right there.
Yep.
Bugging the hell out of me.
Oh. And Sandy Jackson just donated 200 stars from Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandy. So I'm going to use a little bit of lamp black. I was going to use that little bottle, but I'll use the big one instead. I'll probably dump the whole bottle on here. Oops. So I'm going to take a little bit of that lamp black, the same color that I used for the base, And I'm going to clean up this little bauble right here because it will drive me insane. And there's another one here that will drive me insane. Little things bug the devil out of me. Little things where, a bristle goes stray. And then you end up with a little bauble where your letter is no longer straight because it went south. But
I just found out what the value of a Facebook star is.
What is it?
It's a penny.
Woohoo! 200 pennies. That's $2.
Yeah, $2. So for every star that's donated, a penny goes into the donation.
And
pool.
I'm good with that. $2.
Yeah.
$2 buys a chew toy.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. Makes the puppers happy. So I'm going to dry this really well because I am going to distress it. I don't know if Miss Sandy still has these on her website, these Heat It tools. I have to order a new one. Mine started making noise. Yeah.
Better if you give it a smack.
Yeah, I think that's probably why it's making noise. It's been dropped one too many times, so I'm thinking that.
Drop it again, it might fix it.
I find it's getting very, very hot. So I think I may have broken something in it. Anyway, so I have to order a new one.
What are the stars for? It's a Facebook form of monetization.
Yeah.
So you buy stars, you donate your stars to whoever you're watching, and
Yeah.
for every star, that person gets a penny.
Yep. And we put the donations from Facebook and donations that are made on our YouTube channel in Super Chat. We direct those towards our local SPCA shelters. So we raised over $1,000 last year that way for our local shelter.
Yeah. You guys did.
You guys did. That's very cool, I think.
You guys raised over $1,000 last year.
Yeah. So I've got sanding sponge. I'm going to wear through this a little bit. Just a little. I just want to expose some of the wood. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm being selective. So if I wanted it to be really distressed, I could really distress it. But I just want to wear through it a little bit so that it's not perfect.
And how do I get them to donate?
That's on, it should be below the Facebook page. I don't know. It's there somewhere. I'm not sure how.
I'm not familiar with the...
So I'm just taking a little bit of water on my brush just to wash away the dust from that. Look at that. I love it. So now I want to age this lettering just a little. This is how I do that. I'm using a little bit of asphaltum.
Let me go to your Facebook.
Yeah, Tracy More Alive. Yeah.
Hey, look at that. There it is. So, comment, share. Oh, because this is your account, I can't.
So I'm just thinning out a little bit of asphaltum. And I'm just going to brush it right over top of that lettering. You can put it on the whole surface. It's just a thin wash of asphaltum. All it does is just subdue that lettering a little bit. Ages that black. Keeps it from getting too black. And I go right over my line drawings.
I don't know if everybody's thing is the same, but where it says write a comment, there should be a star, and it should say give stars.
Yeah. There we go. So I've got just a wash of thinned asphaltum over everything. Neatness doesn't count.
Perfection is to be avoided at all costs. We have a sticker. And Teresa Casper with $20. Love the puppers.
Thank you, Teresa.
So I use a hairdryer to dry my paint.
I like the hairdryer, but this is very quiet.
Quieter.
Yeah, this is very quiet.
Yeah, it is.
You know, my hairdryer sounds like a 747 taking off. This thing is quiet. So that little bit of asphaltum just sort of subdues everything, softens it, warms it up a little bit. And I like that slightly distressed look. You know, the letters look worn, like it's been around for years. And it just softens the overall effect. And that is it for the lettering. Super easy.
Hit the refresh button.
So we're going to do some work with some purples.
Some what?
Purples.
Okay.
What did you think I said?
I heard sparkles.
No. No sparkles. No glitter. No glitter. So I have the three purples that we're going to work with. Wisteria. Purple petal. I love these two purples. One has got a little pinkish tone and the other one is a little grayer, which works really nicely for our methods. And then we're going to be using dioxazine purple. Oh, come on, get it there. There we go. Just making noise, not being... And we're working with a little bit of diox. This isn't diox, this is purple iris. Okay, diox.
See, I
Well,
wouldn't
diox
have,
is
I
more
wouldn't have
transparent.
seen the difference.
Oh, I did. I put it on the palette and went, that doesn't look right. Dioxazine purple is very transparent. Purple iris is too, but there's a little more red in purple iris. And I'm a fan of my diox. So we're going to put a base down on our flowers.
No glitter.
Glitter. I'm working with a number 4. This is a water lily, and it's a filbert. Nice little filbert. And I'm going to pick up a little of that diox purple. Now, before I do that, I got to do this. So, filbert. We're going to use this in a couple of different ways. You can use it like this, or you press down and then roll the brush so that it forms a teardrop. This is one. We can use them like this. You can use it on its side, like that. So we're going to have different shapes. So I'm a fan of this method where you press it down, let the brush open up, give it a twist and pull, and it gives you a little teardrop shape. I am a fan of this. I like the little dabs like that. So you can make little teardrops like so. And it forms different shapes for the flowers. Not overly important for our application of this color, but it will be later on. So I'll move that off to the side. Dark purple on black does not show up all that well. That's why I wanted to show you that on paper first. So we're essentially going to just dab in some color on this background. No discernible shape. Just dab it in. We just want to get it. It's a transparent color, so that line drawing is still going to show through. And that line drawing is just a guide. But I need to get some purple down on this background, like so. You're going to see the daisies in here. Make sure you come down onto the daisies because we want some of that purple in the background behind those flowers. So just a spotty dabs of color, like so. Even where the leaves are going to be, Just dab it in. There's another cluster of lilac here. Again, just dabs of color. Come down onto that daisy there as well. So, very pitty-pat, very sloppy, very messy, not so neat and tidy. Just a rough shape of that flower.
They're planning on sending me a glitter bomb.
Are they?
Yeah.
We'll make sure your father opens it. Want to see him pressed?
Now that I know what's coming,
Yep. You'll redirect
I'm
it to
going to
someone
be
who doesn't know.
diffusing all my packages.
So when I was tracing on this line drawing, somebody said there was a line drawing missing from the pattern. There isn't. You're just going to literally move the same line drawing until it's upside down and into the opposite side. It's identical line drawing. So you don't have to fuss with it too much. It literally just moves around the other way. So just a pity pat. Don't forget, come down here over the leaves. We're just establishing some base color. Nothing too fancy. Just the space that it's going to take up. There we go.
Oh, God. What does the lettering mean in English?
It's Mrs. Boilev's Flower Shop at 38 Bourbon Street, Châtellerault, which is just the name of the town. Which was appropriate. It's a flower shop. Flowers, flower shop. I thought.
Bourbon.
Bourbon. No. I'm not a big fan of bourbon. So while we've got all of that purple in there, we're going to start with our next value. We're going to use a dirty brush to do this application. I just looking to see which color I used first because I forgot.
Oh, okay. I got an idea.
Do you now?
Yes.
What?
Well, they want to attack me with a glitter bomb.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm willing to make a deal.
Okay.
For the next 12 Days of Christmas event,
Yes.
if they raise...
Did I miss something? I did.
Is $1,500 reasonable
For what?
for the puppers?
Sure.
If they raise $1,500 this year
Uh-huh.
before the 12 Days of Christmas event,
Uh-huh.
I will do a glitter beard.
Okay. A glitter beard.
And I will
I would pay $1,500 to see that.
I will do a glitter beard for the 12 Days of Christmas event if they can raise $1,500 for the puppers.
Okay. You do realize that has now been cut in stone. You can't back out of it because it's on camera.
It's live.
It's live and it's recorded.
It's recorded and archived.
Yep. So that would be an interesting sight. Like I said, I'd pay to see that.
And they get to pick the color.
Oh, God. Be very careful what you wish for.
It can be gold. Well, gold.
Gold would blend in too much.
Gold
No.
will blend in too much.
I think we should make it like bright pink and purples and lime
I'll wear
greens.
it to work too.
You'd be shedding glitter.
Yeah, I
everywhere.
can't do that. No.
No. You're in a gallery. The management of glitter would have your head. Might be worth it though. I think they'd just be happy
I
to
think
see
I
your
should
face.
up it now.
I have micro lights. We could string lights through your beard.
I already thought about doing that.
We could have all kinds of fun with your beard.
It means I gotta let it grow out more.
Uh-huh. Ooh. As long as you don't have that, ZZ Top thing going.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Silly man.
Uh-oh.
Where did...
Thanks, Jessica. $20.
Oh, right on. So I'm going to grab, I've got a little bit of Diox on my brush. Like I said, you're going to work with a dirty brush. And I'm going to pick up a little of that purple petal. Such a pretty color. And I'm just going to smoosh it a little bit so that I get a slightly darker purple. And this is where we start building up some of those flowers. And I like starting out at the tip on the chisel edge of the brush. And you can't see that because I went the wrong way. So we're going to establish a few little petals. And then you get some that are kind of heart-shaped.
And Sandy Jackson just donated another 500 stars.
That's because she wants to see you with glitter in your beard. So I'm just using that brush to tap in a few little loose petals. Like so. There's nothing heavily structured about this. Some of them are full flowers. Some only have 3. Some have 1. Some are heart-shaped where they're joined like that. So it's just a light touch.
Oh my God.
What?
There's glitter beard kits.
I have a funny feeling we're going to have to order one.
There are kits.
Uh-huh. So, as you can see, these are just using that little stroke that I showed you where you're just tapping the chisel edge of the brush. Just creates these very loose petals. Just keep picking up a little Diox. And don't worry about whether or not these flowers are complete, because it doesn't matter. At this stage of the game, it does not matter. And I love the fact that I can come down, still with a dirty brush, little Diox, little of that purple petal. They do not have to be perfect. It's very loose.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Traumatized. Did you speak too soon, my son?
I think I spoke too soon. Don Lavelle with $20. Sue Potts with $25.
Now there's a challenge I can get behind.
The puppers want to see Renee with glitter.
Yeah. Silly man.
Oh, dear God.
So all of those little loose little things, I'm just using that brush. Lots of Diox purple, a little bit of that purple petal on there. I love how this looks. gets us just these cute little flowers, florets. So
Can we braid the beard?
it's not quite that long.
It's not that long.
Yeah.
I'm going to have glitter nightmares.
Well, you kind of dug that hole for yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to continue on with this one and just get that base in. I like this, this loose little base. The fun part is that you can add more little petals if you choose. As I said, they can be complete flowers. They can be partial little heart shapes, single petals. We're just trying to create sort of a loose base for our flowers. Oops. Really should rinse my brush out a little bit, I think, because it's getting a little heavy. I love that this is sort of, a simplified version of lilac. At no time do you really have to have a perfect floret because we're not there yet. We have a couple of layers to do before we get to that.
Oh, kitten with conjunctivitis.
Oh my goodness, that'd be painful. Poor baby.
Oh.
Now, if you don't have diox and you do have purple iris, feel free to use that. You can do this with shades of pink too, if you want. You are not obligated to do them in purple, so if you have a preference. White lilacs, also very pretty.
Oh, God.
Easy to paint.
JL with $25.
You might have to wear a glitter beard before.
Might have to wear a glitter beard before Christmas. Her message is for the puppers and the beard.
Too funny.
I think I could get away with a glitter beard at work.
Maybe. Gonna
think
take a ton of hairspray.
I think the curator would have a good laugh with it.
He might. He might not like having the glitter all over the place, though.
Well, that's a great thing. I sit in my office.
Yeah.
I don't go through the gallery very often. But when I do, it's usually important work, so yeah.
Not to mention the public persona. Might be entertaining, though.
It'd be Christmas time. So
It would be. You might get away with it.
Might be able to get away with it.
So, that first layer of little florets gives it lots of texture. And you need that purple underneath there.
Cindy's wondering, what colors would you suggest for the pinks?
For the pinks, you know what? You're going to need a red. So magenta or berry cobbler in the background for that darker value. And then your lighter values, you could look at baby pink and carousel pink. I think that those two, you need a brighter pink, then you need a softer pink. I think those two would work really well. And then you've got to have some warm white because you're going to need to make some lighter values of those colors too. So it will be fun. So far, not too bad, not difficult. We're going to use that same size brush and we're going to go into the wisteria. So your darker value is going to be that purple petal on your brush. And then you're going to pick up a little wisteria. And we're going to start filling in a few little spots. Oops. And this is where you're going to start paying more attention to the shape of the florets.
Hairspray to keep the glitter from shedding off.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So you're going to sort of start filling in some of those little gaps here and there. So this is where you get to have a little fun with the shape of those petals. So on the chisel edge, I've got a little tiny floret. Chisel edge.
Now they're asking you what brush you're using.
Yeah. This is that number 4 water lily. It's a filbert. So it's a small one.
It's typically used for watercolors, right?
Yes. It's a very nice soft brush. I will say that. It is quite soft. So if you're not a fan of super soft brushes, this might not be for you, but I will say this, it retains its shape. It does have nice snap, nice return. So it's not, oops, I picked up some diox there. I didn't mean to. That's okay. It works. So I'm just using a series of little teardrop shaped strokes, basically, to fill in. But you're going to notice that I'm keeping this lighter value more to the upper side.
Oh, Andrea George has got a good question.
Yeah.
There was an earlier question about using a lighter background. Is there one you would suggest?
In the pattern, I actually wanted to use a lighter one because not everybody likes the black background. You could use just a straight white with a distressed background with another color showing through, or I put the instructions for a barnboard finish in the pattern. So you could do this over top of a barnboard. I don't have my sample of it close at hand, but you could use a barnboard for a background. It would look very pretty, has a nice vintage country feel to it. And then do your lettering or your stenciling in a different color. You could use a gray or a black. There's all kinds of fun things you can do. So I'm still using just a small little stroke using that chisel edge of the brush. I just find that gives you a nice look. Now you don't want these too close together. You don't want them one on top of the other either, because you're just starting to fill in some of this space. Those little gaps in between, if there's a large open space, tuck a little petal in there. And so we have a lighter value. I love that I can tuck these loose little strokes in everywhere. Nothing too, as I said, I'm not forming perfect florets at this point, because most of these are going to be in behind other florets. There we go.
What other brushes could you use if you don't have a filbert?
A filbert, use a small round. A number 4 round would be just fine. You're just creating a teardrop shape. So a number 4 round will work just fine if you haven't got a filbert handy.
Do you sell brushes on your website?
I don't. However, you can use a coupon code for the brush guys. Use the coupon code Tracy M. They give you a discount.
Capital T, capital M.
Yep. On their website. And they carry all of the brushes that I work with. Sandy McTeer also has a number of the brushes that I work with. We simply don't have the space in this studio to stock everything we'd like to.
Do you prefer an angle or flat?
I am a big fan of angles. The angled brushes that I use are Dynasty Faux Squirrel. I'm really liking the angles in the water lily, surprisingly. I use angles a great deal, especially for shading. Certain brushes I don't deviate from. My riggers and my liners, my 10-aught, 15-aught extra long detail liners in the Dynasty Micron. Those I don't deviate from.
Gotta go check on a puppy.
So there's our second value in there. Yep, it's got some heft. So. It's because it's cake. So there we go. And then we're going to make a lighter value still. Now these ones are going to be a bit more the right shape. So I'm using just straight wisteria for this part. Going to have a few petals. And this is where I'm going to shape a few more of those florets. They're going to have that, very obvious 4 petals. And I'm going to limit this lighter value to the upper portion of the floral. And this is going to be a bit more of your highlight. But it's also where those flowers are going to be a bit more distinct. So if I can find a piece of paper, I will show you what I mean. So by a bit more distinct, I'm going to use the slightly darker value so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to use this method on the chisel edge, like so, to form a bit more distinct floret. So they're not just 4 petals like so. So they're just not an X. So if you want them to look like a flower at a slight angle, so the first petal teardropped. The second one is at a slight angle to it, teardropped. And then this one, slight angle. So it's forming like a series of 3 like this. And then you have one petal here, and then it gives the impression that that floret is like a little bowl as opposed to this one. So it gives it a bit more realism. So chisel edge, teardrop, 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 like that. So this one here is always a little bit smaller. So if I were to explode it so that you can see them a bit more clearly, that's what they would look like. So exploded, this is the angle and the shape and the size. And then if I bring them all together, teardrop, just so that they join, there's your floret. So it's a super simple technique, but it makes a world of difference to not have them just an X. So it gives them a bit more realism, and it works really, really well. And it's easier to do with a small filbert than it is with a round. Now, if you prefer something even smaller, that's when you would go to this one, which is the number 2. But I think you will find the number 4 is going to be a little easier. So here's our florets. Chisel edge, teardrop, 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 little short stroke. And I like this method. I just think that it makes for a very nice little flower. Nice little floret. Super simple. You can change the direction of the floret as well just by changing the angle of the flower, that little petal, that shortest one. So there is our little white florets. So now we have that brighter value in there, gives it a little more life. And I'm just working with that wisteria. That's the only color I have on my brush at this point. So I'm just putting a few little florets in, a few complete florets. And then don't forget to tuck in just one or two of those little individual petals or those little heart-shaped ones. And those just add to the texture of this quite nicely. Now, if they're not bright enough to suit you, if you want to add a few more with brighter color, then add a little warm white to your wisteria. This is just a fast and easy floral to do, especially for something like this. This little tray is just a really great, makes a fast gift, something elegant. Would be pretty to do this and then fill it up with bath goodies for a friend, you know, in hospital, or someone who's recovering from illness, or, you know, housewarming gift, or just a gift to make somebody's day. Especially if they happen to love flowers. Now I have a little bit of yellow here. I'm a fan of putting a little pop of yellow in. I just think it works really well. So we've got brighter flowers. I got a little bit of warm white here. I'm going to pop just a couple of brighter florets in a place or two. Nothing too, not too much. I don't want to have a ton of it everywhere, but just a few. So essentially what you're looking for is more the texture of the flowers than you are the individual flowers. So I have a little bit of sunset gold. I'm going to give a couple of these little florets a tiny little pop of yellow. And I like to put it in some of the completed ones where we have, you know, perhaps a full floret. And not a ton of them, just a few here and there. It just draws the eye. Just draws the eye around, keeps things simple. And it's a tiny little dot. Don't overdo it. Here we go. I do love a little bit of yellow in there, just especially with that purple. It's a great addition. There we go. So we've got a little bit of yellow. Super easy. This is just an easy floral. I did see something I need to fix. So right here, I've got almost a straight line that I'm not happy with. So I'm just going to tuck a couple of loose petals in. Just didn't quite have enough in there. There we go. Just looked a little too structured. Et voila. So we have some greenery. There's always greenery. I'm going to use the filbert to do the greenery too. So the leaves, we're going to do these ones back here. Got a little bit of desert cactus. We have small leaves. And these ones are going over top of the floral. And remember that little push-pull. So open up that petal, twist it, pull it up onto its chisel edge, forms a leaf. There's our leaves. They're super easy. We're going to do more with them in a bit, but instead of, you know, meticulously base coating them, I kind of like this. It gives them a softer look. So I'm going to dry this real quick. Find my... So, quick and easy way to paint lilacs.
Amy's wondering if you were double loading your brush with more than one paint.
I work with a dirty brush. It's not technically a double load, but it has 2 colors of paint in it. So that will dry. Now we're going to stroke in some of the stems for this. I'm going to use a little bit of desert cactus and that liner brush. And the shading color that I used for my greenery is this one. I'm really loving this color, this mermaid tail. So I'm going to have a little bit of that on my palette. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of that mermaid tail just to change the color of this green slightly. Make it a little bit darker. And we got a whole bunch of stem work in here that needs to come in.
Ooh, we got a brush question.
Okay.
My rounds are not holding a shape.
Yeah. Usually if they do that, it's because there's paint up in the ferrule. They start to fan out. They do weird and wonderful things, sometimes not so wonderful things. It's usually an indicator that there's paint up in the ferrule. So, best thing to do would be to give them a thorough cleaning, because it happens to the best of us.
You're almost
Believe
on
me.
camera.
I am. I'm trying to.
I can do
I'm
a
good.
small adjustment, so you're good.
So I'm just using long strokes just to imply that there are some stems in there. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I have them drawn in. Like so. So we have stems for the lilacs. We have stems for the daisies that are in there, but they all need to get in there. So that's just that brush mix of the mermaid tail and the desert cactus. It just makes a slightly darker green than what we used for the leaves. And we're going to come back and put stems in for those, but I'm just going to tuck a few in just so that we have stems before we start laying in all these other things. So we've got those layered leaves in. Now we're going to put in some daisies. And I'm doing that with a little bit of warm white.
Do you have a good method of giving brushes a good cleaning versus just using regular brush soap?
Actually, you know what? One of the best brush cleaners I've ever used is Jack's Studio Soap. If you're looking to give your brushes a thorough cleaning without damaging them, Jack's Studio Soap is one of the best. It's a Jack Richardson product. You can find it in most fine art stores. It is a linseed oil soap.
Oh, that stuff.
Yeah, it is fantastic. It will take dry paint out of most anything. It is fantastic stuff. It will also condition brushes. So if you're working with some natural hair brushes, it's ideal. It just does a wonderful job of it. So take your studio soap, give that brush a good dollop of it, work it into the bristles, get it up over the ferrule. And then I like to wrap them up in a moist paper towel, let them sit for about 20 minutes. And then come out and start working with your brush. And I'll show you something really cool. I learned this a long time ago. Don't pull on the bristles of your brush. You don't want to pull on them. But you get a brush that gets paint up into the ferrule here. So this is where it gets. And you'll see it because you'll see and notice a buildup of color along the edge of the ferrule. There's paint up there. And it happens to the best of us. I don't care who you are. if you're not taking the time to thoroughly clean your brushes on a regular basis, it's getting up there. And if I know anything about painters, we're all guilty of that, every single one of us. So load this thing up, lots of studio soap. Grab the bristles like so, between your thumb and your index finger. You are not going to pull on it. What you're going to do is start wiggling the brush like this, back and forth. Don't pull on it. Just push towards your hand and wiggle. And when you've got enough soap in there, color will start leaching out. And then keep going till you get lots of color there. Rinse it, load it up with studio soap, and do it again. And every time you do this, you're going to see color coming out of the ferrule. But never pull on your bristles. You should never pull, tug on them. So I'm just holding them, push forward, a little bit of pressure, and then jiggle them. And it'll help loosen all of that crud that's in the ferrule. And then as you rinse it, you'll start seeing color come out of it. You won't believe how much paint gets up under there.
What was the name of the soap?
Jack's Studio Soap. It's a linseed oil-based soap. And it will clean oil-based, lacquers, and water-based paint out of your brushes beautifully.
Can it season a cast iron?
No.
No.
Probably clean one, though.
Yeah. But you don't clean.
Yeah. But Jack's Studio Soap is great for that. Masters brush soap is another good one. But my favorite is Jack's Studio Soap. It's great stuff. It's ugly. It's very ugly. It looks like a gelatinous mass in the bottom of the jar, but it's great stuff. And as I said, any art supply store worth their salt will have some. It's great stuff. So we're going to paint some daisies. Where's my rigger? I need a rigger. I like painting daisies with riggers. I'm working with a number 2.
Straight alcohol to soak the brushes in?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that too often. The alcohol will break down the glue in the ferrule, and eventually the brush will fall apart.
There's your answer. Not recommended.
In an emergency, absolutely. It works like, it's great. So if you forget a brush and it's got paint in it, rubbing alcohol will work, vodka will work, hand sanitizer will work, although I would never use vodka for that. That's just nasty.
At least a good vodka.
But in a pinch, yes, absolutely. But as a regular cleaning agent, no. It will eventually break down the glue. Don't want that.
Do you need anything?
No, I'm good. Professional help? I don't know.
Oh, that was a given.
So, daisies. I'm using a number 2 rigger. And I'm going to stroke in my daisies with my rigger. Remember to follow the curve. And I try to do it in as few strokes as possible so that it retains that texture from the paint. I kind of like that. And I like to leave a little space between petals. There we are. Now, fortunately, we've only got 3 daisies in each of these little clusters. And I kind of like that. I don't like daisies that are absolutely perfect. They're not interesting. I like them when they've got little flaws and bobbles and things like that, and they're just much more fun. And now, I don't worry about making these flowers perfectly opaque. I like the stria that the brush creates, and so that works in our favor. And while I've got my brush loaded, I'm just going to like stipple in a little bit of warm white in the center of the flower, like so. I am not worried about getting these perfect. Oops. Kind of messed that one up, but we're good. Daisies are just fun. And I like to leave a little space between each petal. Just gives you a little bit of room for shading, and it eliminates the need for you to have to constantly retrace things. Oops, good grief. Messed that one up, but that's okay. We fix later. There we go. And then again, I'm just going to quickly stipple in the center of that flower. Easy peasy. Now this little guy here, this little flower here is a little more complex because there's a lot of overlapping petals. So it is a little bit more complex, but that's all right. Just take your time getting this little guy done. If you feel you need something smaller than the number 2 to get in there and shape those petals, don't be afraid to grab a liner or whatever works for you. And we're almost done with this part. There we go. So there's our 3 little daisies on that side. And I've got 3 more over here. I'm a big fan. I love daisies. They're just such a happy flower. There's nothing really simple about them. If you have a close look at them, we simplify them for the purpose of decorative painting, but the flower itself is quite complex when you have a close look at it. But it is a lovely little flower. And there's so many different variations on the same type of flower. Echinacea belongs to the same family. So do brown-eyed Susans. And then Gerberas. We painted Gerbera daisies last week. Those were so fun. But again, along the same line, a little more complex than the simple Shasta daisy that we see everywhere. And then there's chamomile. Chamomile is also part of the daisy family. on that same type of flower. Also surprisingly complex for what seems like such a simple little thing. But very pretty. I have been doing a lot of work with colored pencils lately. And I haven't surprisingly picked up my pencils that much. I've been too busy studying. But the botanicals, that's my favorite thing. I love painting and drawing flowers. And I've done a couple of tutorials with some really exceptional botanical artists, because I think that level of realism is probably my ultimate goal when it comes to working with colored pencil. And some of them are just extraordinary with the level of realism. I'm nowhere near there yet, but I think ultimately that's my goal. I'm working on the focusing on very specific things at this point. And one of my goals is to get to that level, but some of the artistry that I've seen with colored pencil when it comes to botanicals is just extraordinary. There's no other word for it. And I'm slowly working my way to that. I'm quite pleased with this one. I've been playing a lot with different types of papers and deciding on different types of papers to work with. And so far, I think this is my favorite. I've been working with, this is matte board, smooth matte board. And I love the feel of it. I love how the pencils respond to it. And I love how the color goes on. So I've been really excited about working with this. So that's been my passion for the last little while, is working with a variety of different papers to see what I can achieve. And right now I think that that's going to be my surface of choice for the foreseeable future, is that matte board. Just love how it takes pencil.
She really wanted that treat.
Did she now? What'd you give?
I couldn't even get it out of the bag and she was barking.
You can thank your dad for that. Okay, so I'll just stipple in the centers of these flowers. Super easy. We have daisies. We have struck daisy.
Oh.
What?
Saw a donation of $20. Where'd it go? Elke?
Elke.
Elke. $20 for the animals.
For the critters. More critters. I get so sad when I see some of what has happened to some of these animals. It just hurts my heart to think people would mistreat animals.
Oh, cool. We also get a notification that was her first super chat.
Yay! Thanks for joining us. It's one of the fun things about the YouTube channel is that we can interact a bit more. So we have our daisies based, and we're going to start adding a little more color. So I'm taking my rigger. I am a huge fan of this mermaid tail. One of those colors I had in my paint rack for the longest time and just didn't do anything with. And then one day I was looking for a nice teal color for a specific project and decided to try it out. I'm so glad that I did. So I just had a couple of things I had to titch up. So I've got 3/8 angled shader. This is also in that water lily. Becoming quite a fan. I really am becoming quite a fan. So we're going to shade these leaves at the base with just a float of mermaid tail. It's a U-shaped float right to the edge of the bottom of the leaf, and let it come up either side.
Linda, where do you get the mat board?
The mat board, I ordered mine off of Amazon. I wanted a selection of colors, so I ordered a selection from Amazon. However, most fine art stores will stock some. And I do know that you can buy it from Michael's. It comes in sheets that you can order. You can actually go into the store and buy some. My local Michael's was out at the time, so I wasn't able to get any. So hence the reason I went to Amazon. If I can't find it locally, I'm going to Amazon.
And $10 from Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl. We're going to have happy puppers.
Also her first super chat.
Nice. I can't figure out if it's because they want to feed the puppers or if they just want to see you with glitter all over your face. I think it's the glitter.
I think it's the glitter. I already regret this.
Yeah, you vastly underestimated these people.
We'll see.
Oh, and they have a goal. Look out.
The goal should be feed the puppers.
Well, yes, but the glitter's
The
a perk.
incentive.
The glitter's a perk.
The glitter beard is perk.
Yeah. So
Definitely the glitter.
So I'm going to base the centers. Remember what I did with the flowers in the centers? I just sort of tapped it in. I'm going to do the same thing with Sunset Gold. Now, the reason that I put the white in there is so that I'm not fighting against that black background. Yellow is notoriously hard to cover. So I'm just going to use a little bit of yellow in there. I love this Sunset Gold. I finally figured out the name properly. I kept calling it Golden Sunset, and I knew that wasn't right. But Sunset Gold, it's a great yellow. And I love that it stays this really rich pop of yellow. So this is going to come together fairly quickly from this point. We've got pretty lilacs. And we've got cute little daisies. There we go. Oh, the other thing. I'm playing with a new surface. I was so excited. I'm so excited about this. I'm playing with a new surface. This is from Sheila Landry. It's a rolling pin. How cool is that? So I can see like little gingerbread cookies on this. I could see this painted like a giant candy cane. I just love this. I could see this as a little welcome sign or kiss the cook. I don't know. I just think that this is a great little surface. And these are from Sheila Landry at tollpaintingdesigns.com. If you want to go check out, she's got some amazing surfaces. But she always manages to come up with something super cool. And this I just thought was the cutest thing. And she has the little ornaments too, like mini rolling pins. Freaking awesome. Love it. Tells you where my attention span is. I went to put my heat gun down and saw that surface sitting. Like, ooh, shiny. Shiny. Ooh, it's got glitter.
Marilyn, I think that would be a live that I would do.
What's that?
She would love to see a live done with crayons.
With crayons?
Crayons.
Crayons. I have...
Crayons.
Crayons. I have a package of Tim Holtz watercolor crayons. They would be fun. I think they'd be a hoot. Okay, so this is all dry. So we're going to do a little bit of work on our daisy. We need a nice little center. So I'm using a little bit of my favorite orange flame. What?
So another $10 from Suchetta? Suchetta
Campbell.
and Rolene.
Nice.
Rolene.
So I'm using a little bit of that orange flame.
Thank you very much.
Little float along the base of those centers, close to the petals. There's our little shadow there. Got to have that little shadow. And that little bit of orange just gives it a little heat, makes them nice and bright. Love it.
Karen's popping in and out. Jackson is keeping her busy. I keep popping in and out because I got a dog to...
He's looking after the fire in the family room, dining room. And he's got to look after the puppers.
You may have just raised $1,500 today. No. I'd hate to see that happen.
Why?
Because then...
Next week you'd have to wear glitter beard. Oh, just think. We'd have to glitterify you. It would be so fun. Not, says he. So we're going to shade the base of these petals close to the center with just a little float of Bahama Blue. Just a little. Doesn't mean you don't have to have a ton of it on there. And yes, you can go right over that black. It's okay. A little bit of Bahama Blue. I have to say, I really do like these water lily for floating. They're really soft. Look at that. Very nice.
Which colored pencils would you recommend?
Oh. Okay, first of all, understand I'm a little obsessive when it comes to things like this. Just a little. I have several sets of colored pencils. I do love my Faber-Castell Polychromos. They're my first set, and I do love them. I also have a full set of the Prismacolor watercolor pencils, Prismacolor Premier. Also a big fan of those. Very nice pencils. However, I recently got a set of Derwent ChromaFlow colored pencils. And I think they are my favorite. The colors are rich. The colors are bright. They lay down very smoothly. They're a little more durable than the Prismacolor. They don't break off as easily. They maintain a really nice sharp point. The downside is they are a little expensive and they don't have the vast color selection. There's only 72 colors in the whole line. I do not have them all yet. I will. But yes, I can highly recommend the Derwent ChromaFlow. Derwent makes several different types of colored pencils, but these are my favorite. I just love them.
Karen says she's going to paint her mittens today.
Oh, yes. The mittens.
Mm-hmm. Got her package yesterday, so I'm going to try and play this afternoon.
So that Bahama Blue is also going to be used to shade and separate all of these petals. That's going to divide them.
Is there a comparable color to Sunset Gold?
There is. Just a second. Saffron yellow. Took me a minute.
Saffron.
Yep, saffron yellow.
Are those pencils expensive? Yes.
Yes. Pack of 72 is about $160.
They're what, $5 or $6 a pencil after
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not as expensive as the Caran d'Ache.
that? No, Caran d'Ache is like the cream of the crop.
Yes.
The Lamborghini of colored pencils.
Well, and again, it depends on which line of theirs that you buy. There's Pablo, there's Luminance, and then there is another one.
And it's a completely different color palette, right?
Similar color palettes.
Oh.
The difference lies in the pigment load and the light fastness and the hardness of the lead.
The heck?
I am really quite pleased with the Chroma Flow from Derwent. They're not as expensive as my my Caran d'Ache pencils.
You're off camera a bit.
I am.
Here you go.
I do have a set of the Pablo, and I have a small set of the Luminance. I haven't really worked with them that much. I do have a tutorial lined up that I had to order some pencils for because I don't have their conversion, and I find that frustrating when I can't find a conversion. But I did order some Caran d'Ache pencils from Dick Blick.
I have an easy way to clean your cling stamps. You take a stencil brush or a texture brush and use hand sanitizer, the gel.
Yep. Again, that's more of a rescue type, but yeah, I clean them with a little hand sanitizer. A little bit of brush cleaner works too. If you're using paint, it works.
Yeah.
If you're using ink, then baby wipes work too.
Really? Baby wipes?
Baby wipes work beautifully.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that one.
Baby wipes actually are quite handy.
Yeah, they are.
Yep. Okay. So I've got my shading in my little daisies, a little bit of Bahama blue. Don't have to putz with them too much. Don't freak out over them. So we're going to deepen some of that shading in the centers of our flowers with a little bit of asphaltum. You didn't think we were going to paint all of this without asphaltum? So I just use a little float of asphaltum right over top of that Bahama blue at the back of the flower. That's where you want to focus it because it is a shadow back there. So it just helps give those flowers a little depth. Just like that. Just a weak float. Not a ton of color on them. And then we're going to put a little indentation in the center of the flower with a little float of asphaltum. Just a tiny little U-shaped float. Just creates a little dent in the middle, little dip in the center of the flower. Just creates a little texture. Like so. Nothing major. I do have to fix that. There we go. So I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm going to come back to my filbert because we have some more leaves to put in. So I've got my filbert. We have a little cluster of leaves here. There's 3 like that. Just a simple press down, twist the brush and pull it up on its point. Press down, twist the brush, pull it up on its point. So 3 leaves there. A leaf there. No, this is not following my line drawing precisely because that's in the way. So I've got a little cluster of, like, say, 6 leaves on that side. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Press down, open it up, twist the brush up onto the point. Like so. And again, I have to adjust to accommodate because of the edge of the tray here. So, there we go. So I've got all those little leaves in, and these are super easy. Let me move this out of the way for a sec. These are super easy. So here's the mechanics of that. Get lots of paint in your brush. Press the brush down so it opens up. Even give it a twist if you want to. And pull it. And then as you lift up, turn the brush onto its point. Press down, open the brush, twist, and pull it up onto its point. And it makes little leaves. So it takes a little bit of practice, but it makes for some really cute little leaves. Filberts are great brushes for doing that type of thing. So let's dry this. And then we're going to have a little bit of fun with this because we're going to do some finishing stuff just to give it a little softness and a few little details, fun details. So make sure these leaves are all dry. There we go. So I'm going to grab my 3/8 angle, a little bit of glaze in my brush, and I'm picking up a little bit of mermaid tail, which is that bright teal color. It is fast becoming one of my favorite colors. And just like we did with these ones, we're going to put a little float at the base of the leaf like so. So nice little float. Just a little U-shaped float at the base is all you need for this part. And all that does is imply that the leaf curves a little bit. Just sort of accentuates that appearance. So again, it's just a little U-shaped float at the base of the leaf. Doesn't have to be perfect. And our giveaways today has a water lily quill and a water lily round in it. And if you're not familiar with a quill, you're going to love that brush. They're fantastic for all sorts of things. So that is our giveaway today. Plus there's some other goodies. There's some Tombow professional drawing pencils in there, which are really nice. I'm a big fan. I love the Tombow drawing pencils. So I'm going to dry this really well because I don't want those floats to move. And then we're going to shade down the center vein like so with that mermaid tail. So a shadow down the center, out to the point. Just like that. So you're going to do that to each of those leaves. It's a soft float. Don't overwork it. And don't panic. Super pretty. This little float down here is a little more problematic, but we'll get it. Having that leaf a little close to that wall there is... And I'm going to do the same thing to this other set of leaves here. So down the center to the point. So to get your name put on that wheel, all you got to do is like and share the live. And if you're of a mind to, go over to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. We'd appreciate that.
Is the soft angle for floats preferable?
A lot of that is just trial and error, to be perfectly honest. If you like a brush that has lots of snap, it's a little on the stiff side, then look for something like the black gold, the Dynasty black gold angles. Those have a little more snap. The faux squirrel is a little bit softer again, but again, that was also intended as a watercolor brush. I use them almost exclusively for acrylics. This is relatively new to me, this water lily. Although I did have a set of brushes, it wasn't something that I would just grab because I don't do a lot of watercolor. But I've really been spending a great deal of time working my own techniques with these water lily in the angles and the liners and the filberts, and they're a beautiful brush, but they are considerably softer than what we're usually using for decorative painting or for working with acrylics. So a lot of it will come down to what you like. I'm finding I really like these, but I also work with faux squirrels, so they're very soft as well. So we've got all of our shading in place. Love that mermaid tail over top of that desert cactus. It's just such a pretty color. So we're going to highlight this. We're going to use a little bit of desert cactus. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit of warm white to it. I just want to change the value slightly. And this is going to be my highlight color. So I'm going to put a nice little float right up the center. That's my highlight color. Just like that, super simple. We're not overworking this. So, a simple float of that lighter value. It's not a glaringly obvious highlight either. It's a soft one. So, I will turn this around. So yeah, it's not a strong highlight, but we do need to change the value of that just slightly. There we go. Soft and loose, nothing over the top. There we go. So I'm going to grab my extra long detail liner. Gotta find it. There we go. And I'm going to thin out a little bit of that desert cactus and a little bit of that mermaid tail just to darken it slightly. And just going to stroke in some nice little stems like so, just to brighten them a little. And to connect. You see these leaves are just sort of floating there. Oops. Helps if you have paint in the brush. So I wanted to connect those stems a little. There we go. Now I went with that 10-aught extra fine detail liner because I wanted a much finer line. There we go. I'm going to come down over to this one because I kind of missed.
Why couldn't you use the water lily or faux squirrel brushes on glass?
No reason whatsoever. I use faux squirrel for everything, and I have painted on glass with faux squirrel. Not that I do it often, but I have done it. So we have a few little details to stroke in. One of my favorites, I love just these little fine strands of greenery. Like so.
Colors for the lilacs. I have dioxazine purple, but not the other color.
And then just choose 2 other lighter values of purple. And you can even make your own purples if you want to.
Excuse me.
So I'm just tucking in a few little strands of greenery. And I'm using a little bit of that desert cactus because I like that green. Just light strands. I didn't want anything over the top. It's just to keep it nice and loose. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that desert cactus and I'm going to add a little bit of warm white to it. I want to make a slightly lighter value of that green. And we're going to add a fun little detail to our leaves. I do this with a lot of my leaves. So it's just a squiggly line on the edge of my leaves. Doesn't have to be... Oh, this one doesn't want to hold paint today. Nope. Change brushes. That one is not. Doesn't want to play nice in the sandbox today.
Don't have another liner?
I'm looking for it. Oh, there it is. Okay. It didn't want to play nice in the sandbox, so I have to go get another liner. Let's try this again. There we go. Now, I kind of like this soft, squiggly line around my... Oof. There we go. It's just a me thing. I do this with almost everything. It's just a very loose little line around my leaves. It just softens things to me. Keeps them from looking harsh.
I believe it's an S.
What's that?
Fleur. At the end of fleur.
It's fleur.
No, it's another A.
Yep. So those little squiggly lines are just loose.
It's an A, not an S.
Yep. So they don't have to be directly on the edge of the leaf. They can go past the edge of the leaf. They can go inside the edge of the leaf. It doesn't matter. It just softens the overall effect. That's all. And it just makes things look a little more delicate and less hard-edged.
Uh-oh, we got the French guy involved.
Oh. Is Dad home?
Yeah.
That explains it. No, I just like this. I think it's just a pretty way to finish off these leaves. It does, makes things look soft and delicate. And you can use that color to highlight some of the stems if you want to. Just the odd little stroke in there. Again, they don't have to be right on the edge of that line. Honestly, it doesn't matter. But this is something I do like to do. See where all of these stems sort of congregate, they all join in that one location. I like to tie my branches together with three or four little strokes. It just implies that they have been tied that way. And then you can highlight that as well. A little stroke of warm white just to give it a little definition. And now we have to finish off these little daisies. And these guys are super easy. And I just realized I forgot something.
Uh-oh.
I did.
What'd you forget?
Right here. there is a little leafy design here that was supposed to be done in warm white. So I'm
Gasp.
grab my liner brush. And it's just a squiggly line, like so. That crosses. And then there are a series of little loose leaves that come off of it. Which means there's got to be some tiny branches.
What finish would you put over the flowers?
I usually take everything out and hit it with a couple of coats of matte spray, just light coats. Doesn't need to be anything heavy. And then you can varnish it with whatever your favorite varnish is. And mine would be Decor Ultra Matte. So I'm just using my liner to quickly stroke in those little leaves because that's all they are. It's a little simple outline. You could paint them solid if you wanted to. But in this case, I'm just going to use the liner because I kind of like that loose outline look. There we go.
What's for dinner?
Oh, that one's easy. Salmon pie.
Salmon pie!
And I made a pot of zuppa toscana, and we have salad.
Salad, soup.
Soup,
And
salad,
pie.
and pie.
Soup, salad, and pie.
So the centers of our flowers are going to get a little highlight. We're going to use a little bit of warm white and some fun little dippy dots. Tiny little dots. Make sure you come out past the edge of the flower onto the petals. It just adds a nice little texture to things. I'm going to do the first bunch with just a little bit of warm white. Just adds a nice little texture to the center. And coming out past the edge just gives the flowers a softer look. When you come out past the edge of that center onto the petals, it just softens the center nicely. And then I'm going to repeat that with, you can use lamp black or you can use asphaltum. I'm going to grab some asphaltum because I have it here on the palette. So on the shaded side, I'm just going to add a few little dip dots. And again, I make sure they come out onto the petals a little bit. Just 'cause.
I think Donna knows I'm a smartass.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the whole world knows that at this point.
Because she asked a question and then quickly clarified.
Uh-huh.
So what do you put in salmon pie
Other than-
besides salmon? Because, yeah, my smartass would have going to say
I have
salmon.
a really great recipe for salmon pie. I can post that on my Facebook page if you like. Salmon pie is super simple. Leftover mashed potatoes,
Yum,
green onions.
yum.
I make my mashed potatoes the Irish way, so tons of butter, heavy cream, green onion, salt, pepper. And then I will take little chunks of salmon or leftover cooked salmon, doesn't matter which. And you only need about a cup of salmon to make a whole pie. And I just brown that with, cook it quickly in a little bit of butter. And then break it apart with a fork, flake it. And then I mix the cooked salmon with the mashed potatoes, the green onions, the butter, and the cream. And you can add a little bit of fresh dill if you like, if that's your thing. Throw in a little bit of garlic, salt, pepper, and make a savory pastry. I use two different types of pastries. It's the same pastry, you just change something a little bit. If you're making a standard pastry with shortening or lard, add 2 tablespoons of butter for a savory pastry. And then make your pie a 2-layer pie crust. Fill up the pie with the potato and salmon mixture. Put a pat of butter on top. Put your top pastry on. Brush it down with an egg wash. Pinch pleat the edges of the pie. Sprinkle with a little bit of sea salt on top and bake it 400 degrees for about 20 minutes until the pie shakes loose in the pan. And then you can serve it hot with a little bit of dill sauce or all by itself.
All by itself. Needs nothing.
It needs nothing. It's a very tasty way to use up some leftover potatoes and some leftover salmon.
Also known as dog treats.
It also is dog treats. That's from when I trimmed the salmon.
That dog will do backflips for salmon.
Yeah. So we just have a couple more little things to do to this before we do the final steps. I've got to find my black gel pen. Seriously.
We gonna turn this upright?
I don't know. I need to go get my black gel pen. Where to find it? Okay. There we go.
How do you not have one there?
I don't know. I think it just walked away.
It walked away.
I usually have one in my bin there, but it's not. So I use my black gel pen just to add a few little scribbly details to my daisies. And that's simple. It's just little outlines. And if you've painted with me before, you know that I do this to my daisies. You've probably seen me do it 100 times. I use this an awful lot. I just like the way it looks.
I was an educator for 30 years before retiring, Renee. I understand. She understands boys.
Unfortunately, Renee is genetically predisposed to smartassism.
Yep. I got it from my grandfather.
Yeah, he is the walking, talking, modern day version of my father. Sounds like him, walks like him, talks like him, acts like him.
But also a foot and a half shorter.
A foot shorter.
A foot shorter?
Yeah, not a foot.
Grampy was 6'6"?
No. Well, if you were a foot and a half shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah. My father was only 6 feet.
Okay, so only 6'6".
And I'm saying only 6 feet because his father was 6'8".
What the hell happened to me?
I don't know.
Dad.
I don't know. I like the way that this just sort of textures these flowers a little bit. It's just a me thing.
Not a fan of mashed potatoes. What?
Well, technically, I make colcannon, which is an Irish form of mashed potatoes, and a lot of green onions, lots and lots of butter, lots of cream, or milk. I prefer it with cream.
I've heard that there is a Scottish way of doing it that involves cardamom pods.
I would not be surprised.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up.
How can you not like mashed potatoes? Not a
Well,
fan.
you know what? Some people are just not, it's a texture thing.
Yeah.
It's like I tell people that I cannot possibly eat pudding or custard, and they don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like, ew, nope. That stuff hits the back of my throat, and that's as far as it's going. It's a texture thing for me. It's like, no way.
Just like scalloped potatoes for me.
Yep. And I'm kind of with you there because I don't care for them either.
Scalloped potatoes. Nope.
Nope. And again, I think it's a texture thing.
It is. It's absolutely a texture thing. Because I've had some really tasty scalloped potatoes.
Yeah.
And I can't stomach it.
Yeah. They taste great, just nope. It's like, it's like, here, have chocolate pudding. No, thank you.
No.
What, you don't like chocolate? No, I love chocolate. I just hate pudding.
Chocolate's awesome.
Chocolate's awesome. Well, and they don't get it. Well, it's got nothing to do with the flavor and everything to do with the texture.
Yet perfectly fine with a mousse. Depending if it's a
not so
really good
much.
mousse.
Yeah, it has to be a really good one. But I'm okay with yogurt. Greek yogurt, not so much the other one.
Yeah. That is weird.
But there is a thing, got something to do with the texture of custard in particular. Pudding not as bad, but yeah, custard, nope. Okay, so we have Daisies done.
My grandson visited Quebec before Christmas and brought me home a little stuffed moose. I named him Renee. I hope that was okay. Sure. It's fitting.
Yeah, it is.
Little stuffed moose.
Yep. Dominic and I were out shopping during the week, and one of the shops we went into had this huge display of Canadiana.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everything had either a maple leaf on it, or it was gray, white, and red, or, you know, Hudson's Bay type thing, or had a moose on it, or whatever.
Or just roots.
Yeah. No, not even roots. It was just Canadiana. It was pretty cool.
You're not Canadian unless you've owned at least one
Something with
sweater
roots.
with roots on it.
Yeah. So, some of the final touches to this is a little bit of spattering. I like spattering. I didn't want this to take on that rustic country look, so I wanted more of a French country look, so that means I'm spattering with gold. I like gold. It needed to have a little bit of elegance. So I'm going to spatter with a little bit of gold.
Elegance, yet you're doing something called spattering.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rustic elegance.
Oh, okay. Rustic elegance.
Yes.
Okay.
It's all about, the French country thing is all about rustic elegance. So I'm using a little bit of thinned 24 karat gold. I love this. So pretty. Makes it mo better. There we are. So I love that little bit of gold, that little sparkle it adds is just awesome. And I'm going to put a little bit of black. Not a lot, but a little. Just because I can. It's my piece. I can do whatever I want. So
It's mine.
It's mine. I'm going to spatter with just a little bit of black. And I know you're wondering, like, what difference is that going to make? Well, it's going to make a big difference because it's going to soften the floral a little bit. So there we go. And I have one last thing I have to fix because it will drive me insane.
I'm okay with most things, but I don't like Boston cream pie.
I'm with you. It's the custard.
Eclairs.
Yep, same.
Or donuts with that cream.
Yep, that's custard. Yep, can't do it. Nope. I like eclairs, but I will literally scoop out the custard because I don't like. I like the
eclairs aren't
pastry.
supposed to be done with custard. They're supposed to be done with whipped cream.
Although when the French do it, they do. So I'm just brushing a little bit of asphaltum over this. Remember the little floral thingy that I did in the middle? The little leaves? They were glaring white. And I'm not happy with that, so I toned it down a little because, you know, I can do that. So I'm just going back in with a little wash of asphaltum over all of that lettering just to subdue it. And I'm going to dry this. There, I feel better. It doesn't look quite so bright.
Pâtés.
Oh,
I
love
can
pâtés.
stand pâtés.
I love
Yeah.
pâtés.
No problem with gratin.
Well, it's a pâté, but it's a coarse pâté, and I prefer a coarse one to a smooth one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, although it depends, because there are a couple of German ones that I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh man, I'm missing a lot here.
there we go.
Crème brûlée?
Yuck.
No. I'm with her on that one.
Nope.
I don't like crunchy sugar.
It's the cream thing for me. I'm not a fan. So I wanted to detail this just a little, so I'm taking my gold paint pen and I put a little gold bead around the top. I don't want a solid gold, but I am going to put it all the way around the outside edge because it needs it. We got gold spatter. We're going to put a little gold border on. Et voila. So there it is. Our lilacs and daisies. I do have to put my scribblature on this. And I'm going to tuck mine right there. And done.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Fast and easy.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
I think this is pretty. I might actually end up with this one on my dresser. I don't know. I like this. I think it's a really pretty one. Makes for a nice little project. You could actually detail the edges of this if you wanted to. Maybe with a small little floret or two, or a daisy, or not. Just leave it the way it is. So I think it's rather pretty. It's a fun little project. It works up very quickly. Not a difficult one to put together, but a lot of fun nonetheless. So I'm not sure which one I like better now. One of them might end up, well, one of them is definitely going to end up in my bedroom holding my little collection of perfume bottles, but I'm not sure which, but that's all good. I hope you guys had fun with this one. I did. I enjoyed doing it the first time. So there we go. Now I have space and I can have a mouthful of tea.
Shuffle.
And Renee is shuffling up that list. Hopefully everybody's on there. How many names have we got today?
221.
Nice. It's lots.
Yay.
So don't forget that if your name is drawn, go to the website, click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the home screen, and send us a message with your shipping information so that we know where to send it. Anything that is unclaimed within 2 weeks goes back in the bin. And we'll give it away another time.
Those are too heavy?
Yes, they are.
Gonna have to make it where they're wild next time.
Yep. I'm going to hang on to those for 12 days of Christmas.
Oh, cool. So I got my Sharpie, I got my notepad. What's the first thing we're giving away?
I think we should give away that Tombow set of drawing pencils and that wonderful drawing book.
Oh. Oh, there is a set of...
Yeah, there's a set of Tombow pencils in there.
Perfect. Somebody wants that.
So 4 giveaways, thanks to Tombow USA and to Dynasty Brush. We've got lots and lots of giveaways for 2023, so I'm excited about that.
Hey, boom. Spinning. What's the first name? First name is... Yeah. Susan Haley.
Nice. So Susan, go to the website, click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner, or the contact us button works as well, but the little speech bubble will come directly to me. Send us your shipping information so that we can get your little giveaway goodies out to you. And thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Give it a second.
Yeah, it takes a little time for it to reset. Boys, that wheel is packed.
Yep. This one.
I just realized looking at the screen, you can see my
Cindy Paints.
Cindy Paints. Cindy Paints, definitely send me your shipping address because I'm not sure what your last name is. Unless it is Paints. But either way.
There's brushes in there?
There's brushes in there.
Cute.
Dynasty Water Lily. A quill and a round.
Ooh.
Yep. Plus some other goodies. There's always other goodies. There's
Oh, yeah, I forgot my dot socks.
Yeah, you're done.
My polka dot socks. Boom. Let's go again.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got 3 of those to give away today.
Gail Woolsey.
Right on, Miss Gail. I don't think Gail ever misses a Saturday. If she does, it's because something else is happening.
Gail Wolfley! Water lilies for you!
And one more?
One more. Barbara Delp.
Barbara Delp. D-E-L-P?
D-E-L-P.
Nice. Barbara, don't forget going over to the website at tracymoreau.net. Click on that little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send us your shipping information so we can get your goodies out to you. And to everybody else, thanks again for joining us as you do every Saturday. We really enjoy having you here, and we love that you keep coming back. And so join us next Saturday. We've got a fun project for you, something for Valentine's Day, of course, because Valentine's Day is the following week. So next Saturday, we're going to be painting something for the one you love. So come and join us then. We've got some fun projects lined up for 2023, and I look forward to having you here. Don't forget to check out the website. We've got tons of supplies, patterns, and whatnot on there. And we always have a secret coupon code. You just have to look for it. So you can find it on the website at tracymoreau.net. If you get a chance, go and check out your local SPCA. And if you don't make a donation with us through the Super Chat or through Facebook Stars, think about dropping off some supplies to your local SPCA. They will appreciate it, and so will the puppers and kitties. And you're going to feel great about doing it. So, thanks again for joining us again, as you do every Saturday. We love you, and please, stay safe.
And pet your dog.
Pet your dog.